Welcome back to Munroe's Corner. We're back with another reaction. Today we got Don Lemon calls Larry Elder Uncle Tom gets destroyed by Larry. Okay, let's get into it, man. We're on the road to 20K. We're on the road to 20K, trying to get to 20K by the end of May. We're growing pretty fast on this channel, man, so thank you so much for everybody that's subscribing. If you enjoy this reaction, before you leave the video, all I ask is for a like for the algorithm and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe for the channel growth. All right, and thank you for keeping it respectful in the comments. You know, I know a lot of these topics are very touchy, and you know what I'm saying, a lot of people might not, you know, handle certain people's opinions. You know what I'm saying? Some people, like I said before, some people just can't take an L, and some people just don't like when other people don't agree with their opinions and get kind of nasty. But y'all keeping it really respectful in the comments, man, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right, let's get to it, man.
The Don Lemon. So last night I get an email from a friend who says, "Did you watch the Don Lemon show on CNN last night?" I'd rather stick needles in my eyeballs. No, I didn't watch the Don Lemon show. The only time I watch the Don Lemon show is when I know that Dennis Prager is going to be on. And it turns out Dennis Prager was on. And the issue was this hysteria over Donald Trump. And eventually the discussion was whether or not Donald Trump's presidency has unleashed anti-Semitism and racism in America. And of course, Prager thought it was nonsense. But then a very interesting thing happened. Prager invoked the name of the great Eldersky and said, well, Larry Elder happened to be black, and the only reason I'm mentioning that is because it's relevant for the conversation, and he doesn't believe that Donald Trump has unleashed racism and anti-Semitism, and then I got called a few names by Mr. Lemon.
And we have plenty of Trump supporters on the air all the time. You're one of them, and you're on the air now.
Right, fine. I think that's terrific. I didn't talk about you, but I think the ratio, somebody, Larry Elder, a colleague of mine, who happens to be black, I think it's only relevant because we're talking about racism here, and doesn't think Trump has unleashed racism, did a CNN analysis, and it
just
seems
because
that
he's black, it doesn't mean that he is aware, and it doesn't mean that he is smart.
Oh, he's very aware.
Yeah,
he's one of the brightest guys I know.
And it doesn't also mean that he is not co-opted by certain things, and that he doesn't reap the benefits of us having a...
Not co-opted by certain things? What the bleep does that even mean? Let me tell you what it means. Don Lemon was calling me an Uncle Tom, but he's smart enough to know that calling me an Uncle Tom might get him suspended if not fired. So he needed another word, but that's what he meant.
Okay. So he didn't.
And what Dennis was saying is, of the pundits...
So he didn't actually call him an Uncle Tom. I was wondering, I'm like, why would Don Lemon call him an Uncle Tom when I know Don Lemon is educated enough to know that Uncle Tom is not the correct word that he would be going for if he was trying to say that. It would be Sambo. You know what I'm saying? Because Uncle Tom was actually Harry Beecher Stowe wrote, you know, Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was which helped start the Civil War. Because it was a novel on anti-slavery, and Uncle Tom was a character based off of a real slave, Hosea Henson. But Uncle Tom actually died not snitching on two slaves that was being sexually abused by their master. You know what I'm saying? Over the time, Uncle Tom has been lost in translation. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like, because Uncle Tom, you know what I'm saying? People take what they want from stuff, and through media and through culture, Uncle Tom has been perceived the way people want to see him because of his kindness to his slave masters or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they leave out the part where he died, you know, for saving 2 black slaves. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. It's the game telephone. You know, when you whisper in somebody's ear, you whisper a message in somebody's ear, and then it goes down the line, keeps going down the line, and keeps going down the line, and the message gets further and further off from what the original message was. By the time it gets to the end of the line, it's a whole other message. That's how Uncle Tom has. that is what has happened to Uncle Tom through the history of time. Sambo is the actual term you're looking for. So I was wondering. So Don Lemon didn't really call him Uncle Tom. Because I was like, why would he do that? He knows what an Uncle Tom is, and that's not that. But let's go. Let's continue.
That were used either pro-Trump but that's what he meant. And what Dennis was saying is, of the pundits that were used either pro-Trump or anti-Trump on CNN, and Don Lemon cut him off, 96 of them were anti-Trump. 7 of them were pro-Trump. That's the point Dennis was trying to get in when Mr. Lemon cut him off.
And we have plenty of Trump supporters on the air all the time. You're one of them, and you're on the air now.
Right, fine. I think that's terrific. I didn't talk about you, but I think the ratio, Larry Elder, a colleague of mine, who happens to be black, I think it's only relevant because we're talking about racism here, and doesn't think Trump has unleashed racism, did a CNN analysis, and it
just
seems
because
that
he's black, it doesn't mean that he is aware, and it doesn't mean that he is smart.
Oh, he's very aware. Yeah. He's one of the brightest guys I know.
And it doesn't also mean that he is not co-opted by certain things, and that he doesn't reap the benefits of us having a...
Now let's talk a little bit about Mr. Lemon, shall we? I was asked by a radio station earlier, did it bother me what he said? And I'm reminded about an exchange that took place in the book called The Fountainhead, Ayn Rand. And the hero of the book, Howard Rourke, was asked how he felt about somebody. Peter Keating was the guy that asked him, and they were kind of rivals. And Peter Keating said of Mr. Rourke, "What do you think of me?" And he said, "I don't." And that's how I feel about lightweights like Don Lemon and Mark Lamont Hill and Michael Eric Dyson. They're all the same. These are all educated.
What do you think about them? I don't. I don't. Oh, that was cold. That was cold.
Lamont Hill and Michael Eric Dyson. They're all the same. These are all educated people, tenured people in the cases of the ones that are at colleges, making 6 figures, perhaps even more than that, sitting around bitching and moaning and whining about how bad things are for other people. See, they were able to make it. Somehow, the thicket of racism, they were able to navigate through that. Somehow, they were able to cut down and deal with all of the institutional, systemic, structural racism that holds everybody else back. Didn't hold them back, of course, because they're talented, lucky. What's the analysis here? And I think it was the last time I was on Don Lemon's show, I happened to quote a poll that was taken by an organization called, I can't think of the name of the organization, or I thought of the name of the organization, it's called CNN. CNN Time did a poll in 1997, that's 20 years ago. They asked both black teens and white teens the following question: is racism a major problem in America? Not too surprisingly, both the black teens and white teens said yes. But then they asked the following question of black teens: is racism a big problem, a minor problem, or no problem in your own daily lives? 89% of the black teens said it was a little problem or no problem in my own daily life. And this is a real bombshell takeaway. Twice as many black teens as whites said failure to take advantage of available opportunities is a bigger problem than racism. End of quote. That's a Time CNN poll 20 years ago. And you're telling me now racism is greater now than it was 20 years ago after the election and re-election of a black president?
Let's go back.
End of quote. That's a available opportunities. Black teens as whites said failure to take advantage of available opportunities is a bigger problem than racism.
Facts. you have to be ready when opportunity comes knocking. You have to be ready to take advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like it's people who's not gonna take that opportunity. You have to want it. You have to be ready to work hard for something. And when the opportunity comes, you gotta take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the film industry. All right. So I'm a black male. I'm a black male. A lot of my content is written from a male's perspective, right? But now the mandates in Hollywood, they want black female content. This is with every network. Like, for the past year, they want black female content. You know what I'm saying? They want content catered to black women. So guess what I had to do? I had to adjust. You know what I'm saying? I had to start teaming up with other black female writers. You know what I'm saying? Acquiring black women's content. You know what I'm saying? You have to adapt. You have to, like, a lot of my peers looking at it like, oh man, they're pandering and they're, you know what I'm saying, I don't want no handouts. No, I'm taking this opportunity. I don't know when this door is going to be closed. So I'm linking up with everybody I can, and I'm writing the material that they're demanding right now. You know what I'm saying? My message is going to get across either way. My message get across no matter what I'm writing. If it changes to they're catering to white female white females, Asian men, I'm gonna link up with somebody and get that content created. Or I'm gonna do my research and learn enough from that perspective. I'm gonna adapt. You have to be able to adapt in this society, and you have to be willing to put in the work. Just simply put in the work, man. It's a lot of people in the society is just lazy, man. And just ride the victim wave. I'm not riding that, because there's no growth in that. There's no growth in that.
End of quote. That's a Time CNN poll 20 years ago. And you're telling me now racism is greater now than it was 20 years ago after the election and re-election of a black president? You see, victocrats like Don Lemon think that they're advancing the cause when in fact they're hurting the cause. They are enabling people like my friend Muhammad, not his real name. I grew up with Paul, knowing him since the second grade. Great athlete. He was a starting point guard for the high school basketball team. He was the best pitcher for the baseball team. He picked up a tennis racket, fooled around with it for 2 weeks, tried out, and made the tennis team. He was the quarterback of the football team. He was the greatest prep athlete I have ever seen. We were very good friends. I graduate from high school. I go to college. I come back, and my friend has changed his name from Paul to Muhammad. He's thrown away all his trophies, thrown away all of his stuff, and now he's going to be a warrior for the cause. You see, here's what happened. When Muhammad would be late for practice, as he was all the time, he never got benched. One time he was really late, and as the coach was finally berating him in front of the other players, Muhammad slowly took off his jersey, threw it in the coach's face, and the coach started him the next game. However, when the coaches came, Notre Dame, UCLA, Marquette, all the big ones came, Duke, to scout him, the coach had to be honest because the coach's reputation's on the line. And he told all these schools he is a coach killer. He's the kind of guy who will disrupt the atmosphere, and you will not win with this guy, even though he's a great player. Bye-bye Notre Dame. Bye-bye UCLA. Bye-bye USC. He ended up going to a very small, non-basketball-oriented college, and he was pissed. So he sat around, smoking dope, going to practice.
He got to be pissed at himself. Because at that point, he made himself uncoachable. Uncoachable. You know what I mean? No matter if your beliefs change on whatever, you know what I'm saying, you still gotta be coachable. Okay? He was out of pocket. I just had to stop it on that. His boy was out of pocket.
College, and he was pissed. So he sat around smoking dope, going to practice late, and I never got it straight whether he quit the team or whether the coach kicked him off. But believe me, he is sitting in his home right now where we grew up, still bitching and moaning and whining about the white man. Now, when I came back from college, I went to visit him, and he's doing all this stuff with me, and I said, ho, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. You're talking to somebody who's known you since the second grade. Whatever the white man did to you, he did to me. We had the same teachers, same classes, same schools. How come I'm successful and you're not? You may tell these people up in your neighborhood while you're sitting around and whining to them and they're listening to you. That might work for them, but not for me. I've known your butt since the second grade. Anything that happened to you happened to me, and therefore it's on you. You made choices. You showed up late. You had an attitude. And it turns out that my friend Muhammad was the first boy I knew who did not live with both his mother and father. His father and his mother got divorced when he was very young. He had a bad relationship with his dad. And it goes to show you one more time about the foundation that's necessary in order for somebody to succeed. He didn't have that kind of foundation, but he was still angry. He still made bad choices, and he ended up where he's at. But instead of accepting responsibility, blaming the white man, and people like Don Lemon and Mark Lamont Hill and Michael Eric Dyson and Eric Holder, all this cabal of whiners are enabling people like my friend to cop out and blame other people. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. And I'm sick of it.
See, you don't get nowhere playing the blame game. You know what I'm saying? There's no progression in that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you have to want it. You have to want it. You have to go out there and get it. These are two people coming from the same predicament, of the same race. One just wanted it more. One just wanted it more. And chose to educate themselves more. And chose to level up. That's what I'm saying, man. When you get caught in that victim mentality, man, and you just sink yourself, man. Because it's like your focus is off. Because you're focusing on that instead of focusing on your growth. You know what I mean? I was lucky enough to be in a household with both my parents growing up. My friends weren't. I had friends, come from broke. I had plenty of friends who come from broken households. And some of them made it, some of them didn't. What was the difference? Their need, you know what I'm saying, to want more. You know what I mean? They wanted it.
I'm Larry Elder.
Call in.
And we don't have time for charlatans, and we don't have time for flim-flam. What?
The following has been rated PC for politically correct.
Pay attention, you just may learn something.
It's the Sage, Larry Elder.
You know what gets me about some of these guys? I was on a Chicago radio station this morning, and somebody called in from Naperville, Illinois, and referred to me as a house Negro. And on and on and on. Finally, when he came up for air, I said, may I ask you why I'm a house Negro? And he goes, well, that's because you are saying things a white man, blah, 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 blah. And I said, if I were a white racist, I would have to pay people like you to denounce people like me. I'd have to encourage people like you to denounce people like me. And you do it for free. If Elder is right, and the welfare state has destroyed the black family, has created a situation where now 73% of black kids are born outside of wedlock. And along comes somebody like Elder and says, hey, there's a connection between that and the welfare state. We need to rethink the welfare state. I would want somebody like you to shut him up. I'd have to pay somebody like you to shut him up. If Elder is right, that minimum wage laws have destroyed opportunities for unskilled young black people, and it's true that at one time a black teenager was more likely to have a job than a white teenager, and along comes Elder and says, let's get rid of minimum wage, I would want somebody like you to call him up and call him an Uncle Tom and call him a coon. If Elder is right, that these inner city schools have the worst teachers because there's something called the turkey trot or the dance of the lemon, so that the worst teachers, when parents complain, they send them to another district where parents don't complain, and as a result, you have some of the worst teachers working in areas where the best teachers are needed. And somebody like Elder comes along and says, parents need vouchers so that their kids can get into a school that's safer and where the teachers are better and where the parents care more about education. And along comes Elder, and Elder says, I support this. I would want somebody like you to call him up, denounce him, call him an Uncle Tom, discourage him from having any kind of credibility so that other people don't rethink their allegiance to the Democratic Party that are in bed with the teachers union that don't want vouchers. I would want somebody like you to call him. So please, you are doing the bidding of white racists in America, and I'm a coon, I'm an Uncle Tom. It's absurd. So when I get calls from people like this, notice they never say I'm factually wrong. You and Thomas Sowell are factually wrong when you talked about the labor force participation rate. They don't say that. You and Thomas Sowell are factually wrong when you talk about the census shows that between 1890 and 1940 or so, black couples were slightly more likely to be married than white couples. As a
Shout out to the brother Thomas Sowell, man. He be he be dropping a lot of facts.
result, black kids were slightly more likely to be brought into the world with nuclear intact families than whites in those days. They don't say I'm factually wrong. Call me a bunch of names. And this is why there's no self-criticism and self-evaluation and self-reflection within the black community to the degree that there should be. Because anybody that suggests maybe a different way or a different approach, different assumptions, is shot.
Say they don't say he's factually wrong when they make these arguments. Say he's not factually wrong. They just resort to name calling.
Shut it down, call all sorts of names. It's juvenile. It's preschool. And all it does is make things worse because assumptions are not challenged. And 95% of black people go down like lemmings and pull that lever for the Democratic Party that does not want choice in schools, that wants to raise the minimum wage to $15. Are you kidding me? Even Joe Biden's economist, Jared Bernstein, says $15 an hour is too high and it would hurt people. Is this thing on? But I'm a bad guy. I'm an Uncle Tom. It's juvenile and it's counterproductive and makes things worse.
Okay, that was a good listen. That was a real good listen. Have to get to, we have to cover some of the videos on what he was talking about. I'm not educated on his beliefs in the welfare and just because I would rather go into a video where he's thoroughly talking about it as opposed to him briefly going over it and talk about the welfare, the state of welfare, the state of minimum wage, his views on that. So I would like to get into that. Link me to some videos with that in there. You know what I'm saying? Personally, I know people welfare has helped and welfare has hurted them. You know what I mean? Because I know people who used to be on welfare that are doing exceptionally well now because it really helped them out. And I know people who were on welfare that are still on welfare because it enabled them, and they just lazy. I mean, just that's just what it is. They just lazy. I mean, you got lazy people and you got workers. You know what I'm saying? You got receivers and you got people that's gonna go out there and take that help they're doing and to help them better themselves and get out there and make something of themselves, man. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we do one of those videos. But that was definitely a good listen. That was a good listen. Wow. Yeah, he gave it to him, didn't he? All right. If you enjoyed this reaction, give me a like for the algorithm and subscribe for the channel growth, man. We on the road to 20K, baby. All right, let's keep it respectful in the comments. Peace out, man. One love.